NutraCast.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Host the ultimate backyard barbecue with Whole Foods Market. It's the Hot Grill Summer event through July 16th with sizzling sales on no antibiotics ever boneless beef ribeye steak and beef New York strip steak. Plus, check out sales on sustainable wild-caught Alaska sockeye salmon, organic strawberries, and more. In a hurry? Choose grab-and-go favorites like picnic salads and sushi, plus plenty of cooler-friendly beverages. Make it a hot grill summer at Whole Foods Market.
I was bad about one part of this up until about a year ago. I'll tell you the bad part last. But what I have been good at is when I approach work every day, I think the most important work is the work on you first before the work on your business. And so I get up an hour early. I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I have a trainer that comes here 5 days a week for an hour to 90 minutes. Works my butt out when I'm still too sleepy to say no. And after that, every single day.
Welcome to Think Business with Tyler, sharing our methods and strategies for success. Join in on our conversations with business owners as we highlight their triumphs and detail how they overcame the challenges they faced while continuing to grow and scale their business. It's time to think life, think success, and think business with your host, Tyler Martin.
Welcome to another episode of Think Business with Tyler. Today, we have an incredible guest with us, Fred Cary, the visionary founder of Ideapros. In this episode, Fred reveals the secret to daily progress towards long-term goals and shares his surprising journey towards a plant-based diet that boosted his energy and stamina. You'll hear how Fred's Ideapros transformed from a $25 million revenue machine to a revamped powerhouse helping 100,000 aspiring entrepreneurs. Plus, don't miss Fred's tips on building a resilient mindset and the importance of surrounding yourself with people who believe in your mission. Hey, Fred, welcome to the Think Business with Tyler podcast show. How's it going today?
It's going awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Hey, I always love to start out on the show learning a little bit about you. So what I'd love to know, first, what you do professionally, and then secondly, if you could share a little bit about yourself, something personal.
Yeah. Well, professionally, I have a company called Ideapros. It's my 11th adventure. And I've obviously started 10 companies before that. Took a couple of companies public, had a couple others acquired by public companies. And I started Ideapros a few years ago to try to help entrepreneurs launch businesses and grow businesses, focusing on the disastrous decision that people make to become entrepreneurs and how to overcome the challenges and heartaches and failures that are inherent in that journey. And about me personally, I raised my two daughters on my own, which was probably my biggest accomplishment. I'm also the daddy to 400 startup companies because we own 30% interest in them. So that's even more challenging than raising my two daughters. And I love to travel. I love to cook. And I love speaking to people. So I'm happy to be here.
Wow. 11 companies. So the Ideapros is your 11th. Just briefly, I'd love to just talk about the 10 other ones. Were they all successful? Did you have anywhere they either went out of business or didn't work out like you wanted and you had to either liquidate or get out of them? I'd be kind of curious there.
Yeah, all of them were enormously. No, I had about 80% though success, and I measure success on kind of a low bar. If you at least get everybody back their money, I counted that as success. But several of them had big exits, 20x, 40x exits. So I think I have about 80%, and it's really because of a trick.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
Several of them had big exits, 20x, 40x exits. So I think I have about 80%, and it's really because of a trick.
Yeah. Okay, you're setting me up, right? What's the trick? Let's go right down that path.
All right. Well, you can, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear that in the next show. Now, the trick is that if you look at my resume, you'll think that I'm entrepreneurially schizophrenic, because I'm really all over the board on the different companies. I've from food to entertainment to banking to software, hardware, e-commerce, consulting, really all over the board. But I think a measure of success was I always looked for marketplace that was growing, and hopefully growing rapidly, that had healthy competition. But because if there's healthy competition, there's an audience there that's buying their wares, but a hole in that market. One thing that was not being addressed well. And I would grab that hole and make that my business model. And inherently, you can become successful because you're serving a need that's already pent up with these people that are already paying for services or products, where they're not getting that one thing that they really want. So that has been my mantra, find the hole, basically.
Is the hole, like, would you say, like, is that a differentiator, or is it, how do you find, like, for example, where that hole is? Is it, there tons of research in this, or how do you get to there?
Find 500 or more one-star reviews that have a common thread in the business. Is pretty much, it's that simple. It just, people have been inventing cars with 3 wheels, and it's not that much of a stretch to say, this could use a 4th wheel. A lot of times the missing components are fairly obvious. Even in companies that have done really well, most of them have migrated what their solution is to encompass more and more of what people truly need. So it really doesn't take that much. And by the way, we have a series of tools and processes, and now we've even multiplied that through the use of AI, proprietary AI systems, where we can drill down into where that hole is in almost any industry.
That's interesting. So the theme of today's show, what I really wanted to get into, when I saw your tagline, this just hit me like a wall. Your tagline is F average, be legendary. F average, be legendary.
Well, it's actually fuck average, be legendary, but I don't know if you can say that.
I always have to hit the clean when I publish this. So you either are going to make me beep you now, or I can't hit clean.
Hey, I got a registered trademark on it, so it's got to be legal.
I hear you. But I loved it. I mean, it just, like, to me, like, that just embodies a mindset and a way you're going to approach things. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about this whole mindset thing. Where do you think that fits in as far as entrepreneurship and business ownership? How would you rank that?
Number 1.
Really?
Because we're all going to fail. And we can fail and quit, or we can fail and say, whoa, I learned a lot there. Let me try this instead. You don't even have to go down to the people in the gutters. You can go to the loftiest of the lofty, with Elon Musk's of the world, where he failed 3 times with SpaceX, and his 4th rocket. If his 4th rocket failed, he would have been done. You would have never known his name. And he kept going, and he bet all in repeatedly every time. And it's using those failure points as an opportunity to learn more and to get better. That's the cornerstone of entrepreneurship. So it's really legitimately the very foundation of building up any company.
Yeah. Do you have, in your own entrepreneurial journey, where you've had to exhibit, like, mental toughness, or somewhere where you've had resilience, something where you could kind of give me, like, a real world example where you were kind of facing a lawn type situation that either worked or didn't work out?
Well, yeah, I can give you 1,000 of them, but we don't have that kind of time in show. In fact, we're going through a complete revamping of Ideapros. For example, when we started this, we started Ideapros because finding a hole, right? Finding the hole. The largest of all was the fact that everybody wants to be an entrepreneur nowadays. But the fact of the matter is 95% of entrepreneurs are what we call outsiders. If you look at the multimillionaires, the billionaires that define themselves as entrepreneurs, they, for the most part, went to elite schools. 60% of them have advanced degrees from those schools. They know how to play the insider game. And the rest of us are just kind of stuck out in the weeds trying to figure out what to do. Therefore, we have we have a situation where the hole in this marketplace is the fact that nobody has the infrastructure, the support, and the connections to make things happen. That's why Ideapros became such a great opportunity for me, but it became too great of an opportunity. The floodgates opened. We had 100,000 applications to work with us. We could only take 400 people because it was such heavy lifting. And we left everybody by the wayside, 99,000 plus people that wanted some help, but we weren't able to give it to them. So we spent the last year not bringing in new partners, me funding the company on my own, even though we had done about 25 million in revenue up until that point, shut down the revenue producing part of it and just revamped everything we needed to do and just relaunched again with bigger, better solutions that can address everybody from free to $100,000, $200,000, so wherever they need help, depending on the level they need assistance.
Right.
So that required a lot of grit and many sleepless nights, waking up at 3 a.m, sweating, wondering what the F I was doing with my life. And I'm a fast study, but that's just one. It's
Well, here's what I'm thinking, and I say this with as much respect as possible. You've had 8 out of 10, 80%, you're batting 800, which is an awesome batting average. It's a lot different, I would imagine, with Ideapros now. You're venture number 11. You've had all these successes. I think I would argue resiliency is probably a little different for you now than maybe when you were in venture number 1 or 2. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of just mindset, a lot of the folks that when I deal with the mindset issue, it's their first venture or it's their first time they're dealing with something. And frankly, they don't even have the cash flow maybe to cover something for 90 days. So it's like a whole different world in terms of what they're experiencing. Anything that you could take us back in your early venture, any words of wisdom, even maybe for someone that is looking through a different lens, maybe from where you're at in life right now?
Yeah, my second venture when I was 25 years old, I was a concert producer. And on the night of our first mega concert with 6 different bands, I was sitting in the middle of a baseball field and the beginning of what turned out to be 16 inches of rain that night. And I lost about $60,000 back then, when $60,000 is more like $500,000 now. I spent the whole night on radio stations because we didn't have internet, doing interviews, saying the concert's going to be the next afternoon. I double paid all the bands. One of them couldn't play because they had another gig. I had to go hire a local band in the middle of the night. And the fact of the matter is that it would have been really easy to fold up shop at that point. But instead, I said, hey, there's another concert right around the corner. And we ended up doing quite well. But the difference from then and now is back then I had what most of us suffer from, and it's kind of imposter syndrome. When things start going wrong, we think, you know what, they're going wrong because I don't deserve this, or I wasn't meant for this, or I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and I might as well go back to my 9-to-5 gig. And what I would say to you folks that are doing this for the first or second time, welcome to the club. I mean, bruises and being banged up and burned and set on fire, it's all part of the drill. And it's not that you're not meant for this. It's that you're being taught how really hard this is. Just keep going.
Just keep going. So even when that imposter system syndrome kicks in, your recommendation is, hey, just keep going, work through it. How do you know? I mean, the way my mind works is, how do you know when it's time to pivot, stop, or say, hey, I'm going down the wrong path?
Well, pivoting happens fast.
Okay.
Stopping happens slow. The fact of the matter is, if you've done any homework, the chances are you're in the right place. You might be approaching it in the right way. You're trying to get into a door that's locked. There's another way to get there. So pivoting is something that has happened 99% of the time with the 400 companies that we have. Hardly any of them have come through and gone out the other end being exactly what was envisioned coming in. So the pivoting is something, number one, you need to be not only able to do, but you need to be very, very keen on doing so, because that way you can go where the stream is leading you. As far as knowing when to quit, when you just can't handle it anymore. And a lot of times it's a cash issue. a lot of times it's just like you can't handle that stress anymore. And at some point, we fold up our bags and go. I mean, even the most successful entrepreneurs have many other ventures that they pointed to. The founders of Facebook, even, they founded it in college. They had 3 or 4 ventures before that one. So just stick with it until the point where you just can't do it anymore, either physically or emotionally or financially.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of times when I think about mindset, I think about it plays a role in the people that are around you. So, what's your thoughts around how thinking about putting the right people around you, working on having people that can elevate your game, help you in terms of mindset, but also planning and strategy and stuff like that, just putting the right people around you. How has that played in your career in terms of importance, and any words of wisdom in terms of how we can do that?
Yeah. When we first started out on this entrepreneurial journey, we're like what my father used to call the one-armed paper hanger. It's an impossible task and you're doing it all by yourself. But at some point, you need to bring people in. And those first people you bring in are going to be key to whether you succeed or not, because they're the ones, as you transform yourself from a founder to a leader, they're the ones that are going to be carrying this baton for you. And you need to make sure that you have people that don't give up. Ira Hayes is one of my executives in the companies hanging around here somewhere. When we went and decided no more revenue for a year, he actually worked for 6 months without pay and insisted on it. And I've worked for 2 years without pay, mind you. But here's somebody who doesn't have anywhere near the stake I have in this company, and he still believes in the mission to an extent that he's willing to sacrifice on his own. And when you're first starting out a company, and when you're growing a company, you need to find people around you that are willing to sacrifice along with you.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it says a lot about him and his belief in what you guys are doing, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything for people that don't have that network, though, or maybe the initial, you said, the first people you pick are the most important. Do you have any certain system in terms of how you pick people, how you interview them, how you decide if you want them in your circle? Any process or things you think about?
I haven't put out an application for anybody to come work here ever.
Wow.
Everybody that works here has been brought in by a referral. I started out with a couple of people that I really trusted, and I needed somebody. One or the other of them knew somebody that knew somebody, and people came in here organically that way, instead of broadcasting out and taking 50 resumes and trying to decide which one it is. Because here's why this is really a cool way to do it, if you can. You know that the people that are near you have this certain mindset that works with you and works with your company and works with your core value. So the chances are the people they know are going to share a similar mindset. And as it's turned out, it's been absolutely true. In fact, we have a new employee that we brought in a couple of months ago, because now we're turning on that engine again. And this guy is coming to head up our sales and marketing. He was brought in by Ira, and this guy is a maniac, the best I could possibly hope to get from anywhere. And he just came in. I didn't interview anybody. I sat down with him. I spent a couple of days with him. And then I asked him, hey, you want to come in and be head of sales and marketing? And he's like, okay. And so boom, we did it. It's like that. You're going to get the best people if you can get people that your people know.
If you're a business owner feeling stuck in your business, overwhelmed, responsible for everything that happens, and working long hours, Tyler helps his clients develop processes, hire high-performing team members, and better understand their financial metrics and numbers to allow for a more predictable, less hands-on business. To schedule a free, no-pressure consultation, head to thinktyler.com and click the meeting button. Tyler would love to see if he can help you work on your business, not in your business. Schedule a consultation today at thinktyler.com. Think life, think success, think business.
Host the ultimate backyard barbecue with Whole Foods Market. It's the Hot Grill Summer event through July 16th with sizzling sales on no antibiotics ever boneless beef ribeye steak and beef New York strip steak. Plus, check out sales on sustainable wild-caught Alaska sockeye salmon, organic strawberries, and more. In a hurry? Choose grab-and-go favorites like picnic salads and sushi, plus plenty of cooler-friendly beverages. Make it a hot grill summer at Whole Foods Market.
And then I asked him, hey, you want to come in and be head of sales and marketing? And he's like, okay. And so boom, we did it. It's like that. You're going to get the best people if you can get people that your people know.
Yeah, there's definitely to be something to be said for too. Like, that we all kind of, when you find your circle, like you kind of think the same. You all kind of have similar goals, similar drive, and I think that can probably almost like snowballs where you can't stop it once it starts.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very cool. Hey, we talked just a few minutes ago about having that resilience when things aren't going your way. Do you have any like tips or anything that comes to your mind? How do you maintain that motivation? Because entrepreneurship, being a business owner, it can be lonely, it can be frustrating, and I think it's normal for us to kind of at times feel like we want to quit. But how do you have any tips or anything that to keep that motivation going?
Yeah. The first thing is take can be out of the question. It is lonely. It is frustrating no matter what. I mean, I have yet to meet anybody that's had a smooth ride. Anybody. And by the way, it extends beyond entrepreneurship. I saw something from Taylor Swift, of all people, on Instagram, talking about what a disaster her career was, and how many roadblocks and how many changes, and here she is, a billionaire. And so, if you want to be at the top of your game, it's not an easy road, and it's not an easy path. So, what I would say to your entire audience is basically that this is what it is, and this is what it takes. And while you can get frustrated and upset, the more you can understand that this is part of the process of finding the right road, the more comfortable you're going to be with the pain. Because if you can use that pain to move you in another direction on your journey, rather than keep beating your head against the wall, understand that that's part of it. It's not, the pain point is not the end point. It's just leading you to make a turn to your left or your right.
I got that. I think what a lot of people, what I see happens though, is people, I don't know if it's depression is the right word, but they kind of, things don't go their way and it just seems repetitive, and then something else falls apart and they have a hard time like shaking out of that, is what I'll oftentimes see. Have you ever in your early ventures, you had the $60,000 thing, rain coming down? I mean, was there ever a point where you're kind of like, maybe I don't go for round two on this one. Maybe I just take the loss and move on.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. I had another company called Boxlot in the late 1990s. I started a company to compete against eBay, and I just couldn't catch up to those people. And I had a better product, better stuff on my auction, but they just had this momentum that I just couldn't catch. And I really thought I should give up. But then I really started looking, am I in the right place? Yeah, I am. Everybody's talking about auctions. Everybody's talking about this stuff. What's missing? And what was missing is the infrastructure, because it was such a new thing. Things like incremental bidding, notification when somebody outbids you, mini max bids, bid or buy, all those elements were missing. And so rather than close up shop, I turned my company Boxlot into a technology company, and we built the infrastructure that all of this could play better on. And we ended up getting an offer to acquire us for $125 million like a year later, where it's a company I would have folded up.
Wow. That's a great story. I mean, that just shows you sometimes just those shades of doing one thing versus another, how it can lead to such a different result.
Yeah, you might be in the right place. You're just using the wrong solution.
That's interesting. Hey, another thing I want to talk on this mindset thing related to self-care, well-being, how we take care of ourselves just on our personal life. What are your thoughts around that? Do you have any certain things that are must-haves that you do daily, or routines or anything like that?
Yeah, and mind you, I was bad about one part of this up until about a year ago. I'll tell you the bad part last.
Okay.
But what I have been good at is, when I approach work every day, I think the most important work is the work on you first before the work on your business. And so I get up an hour early. I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I have a trainer that comes here 5 days a week for an hour to 90 minutes, works my butt out when I'm still too sleepy to say no. And after that, every single day, I do personal affirmations. I do some meditation. I do some expressions of gratitude, and I'll read, whether it's a paragraph, a page, a chapter. I do some reading every single day, and it allows me to get myself organized and understand that the most important thing of all is me and my happiness, my security, and my mental health and physical health, obviously. So I work on that stuff first. So I tell everybody, take an hour and a half. If you don't have time, then you're not getting up early enough. Get up earlier and really focus on you. And then the other part of it, which I haven't been doing well and I'm still struggling through, is to get enough sleep. I've been averaging 4 hours of sleep a night, and get up, go to bed at midnight or 1 o'clock and get up at 4 or 5. But now I'm working on that and trying to make that better. And I think that my argument before was like, hey, if you sleep 8 hours, and you live to be 90, 30 years are going to be sleeping. But I think we're human and we kind of need that. So make sure you get enough rest, make sure you take care of yourself. And journaling is a great thing too. At the end of every day, write down some micro victory that you had, because part of the reason that we fail is we're looking at the finish line. Even in football, you only got to go 10 yards to get more of a chance to go forward, right? And we just look at that finish line and it's 1 year and 2 years and we're not there. Facebook had no revenue and no revenue model for 7 years. Amazon lost money for 13 years, even after they were a public company. So don't look at this long-term thing. I'm not where I want to be. Look at this month. What did I do that made myself progress? Today, what did I do? At the end of the day, what little thing did I do today that's getting me a little further on down the road? And once you write that down at the end of the day, and write down 1 or 2 things you want to do tomorrow, and that way you're on a plane to move forward.
Yeah. In terms of getting the additional sleep, what are you doing to get it? Are you, because that's hard. If you've been so used to going to bed at midnight and waking up at 4, you're kind of in that routine. How are you now cutting? It sounds like you're trying to add 4 more hours. So you're cutting out earlier in the evening. How are you doing that?
Yeah. Well, I can't add 4 more hours because if I get 8 hours of sleep, I'm dead. I swear to God, I wake up after 8 hours of sleep and I'm like a zombie all day long. I can't do it. I'm trying to get to 6 hours. And one of my daughters, and it's completely legal here in California, introduced me to THC gummies. And that's really helped me kind of get 5.5 hours anyway.
Yeah. Okay. That's because I swear I've tried everything. My mind keeps running until, it doesn't run anymore. And then I fall asleep. And I've tried literally everything. I guess I'll have to try THC gummies.
Yeah. Are you in California?
I am. Yeah.
There you go. It works great. And you wake up in the morning, you don't feel it or anything. It just helps you go to sleep. What else I used to do is I'd watch Netflix on my phone right next to my bed and I'd fall asleep within 37 seconds.
Yeah. And that's how reading, I hate to say it, at night, I can read during the day, but at night, that's kind of my thing that helps. As soon as my eyes start reading, I'm out pretty much.
Yeah, me too.
So I get that one. One thing you didn't mention, I'm curious, diet. Where does diet fit into all this for you?
I've been a vegan for 2 years, and I don't bring it up because my older daughter tells me I'm an idiot for bringing it up all the time. People think vegans are such militants. It is a very big factor. I have more energy. I just turned 74, and I had to promise my kids I'd retire by the time I hit 90. I have a lot of stamina. As I said, I'm operating 400 different companies. There's no quit in me, and I feel internally like I'm 40. And to all you overweight 40-year-olds out there, get up and do something. But I literally think that having a clean diet really helps. I'm not going to try to convince anybody to be a vegan. In fact, I would argue that if you're going to eat meat and things like that, at least see where it comes from and make sure it's not from tortured animals. But I feel a lot better emotionally. Because I've seen now what we do to 99% of the animals that we eat, just because they're big S factories that look at other mammals as commodities. So that's a tough one. But if you're going to eat meat, go locally sourced. Find places where the animals were treated humanely and love it. If you want to try to have a plant-based diet, I can tell you my own personal experience. It makes me more alert. I'm never like feeling full or anything like that, and I'm stronger than I was on my regular diet. And mind you, I grew up in Italy, and I'm a gourmet chef. So if you came to my house, you'd have 6 courses of every animal you could imagine. So it was a big transition for me. But now I'm making plant-based food that tastes just like the others.
That's
So
cool. It sounds like for you, so the plant-based move was about the animals part of it in terms of it wasn't health basically related. Is that a true statement?
no,
Okay.
but it is now. I watched, and you may want to bleep this out too, because anybody that watches this, they're going to become a vegan like me, especially if you're a guy. There's a show called The Game Changers, and it came out a few years ago. It has nothing to do with the animals. It's all about athletes and some of the top athletes in the world that switched to vegan diets to become the top athletes, like Lewis Hamilton, the Formula One race car driver, the Williams sisters in tennis, the other guy who's number one tennis player in the world, now I forget his name, but Tom Brady in football, right? And it's all about even Arnold Schwarzenegger, the switch to plant-based diet, and it's all about them and their journey and how it made them stronger and faster. And the guy who the strongest man in the world, who lifts the most weight of anybody, vegan. They're all vegans. And so I started listening to the show, and part of the show started talking about a man's personal health. Oh, let's just call it that on this show. I don't want you bleeping anything else out. As soon as I saw that section, as soon as that section was over, I looked at my girlfriend and I said, I'm a damn vegan. And I started that way. But about 6 months ago, I started following a couple of Instagram pages on vegans. And I saw, like, even in making eggs and milk and what we do to animals to make that happen in a factory environment, it's shocking, so.
I don't usually talk about this, but I want to share my story. So I went plant-based about 5 years ago, and I did it because I had high blood pressure. And I thought, well, I'm so tired of taking medication. I think I'm going to try this and see if it just changes anything. And so I switched over. It unfortunately didn't change my blood pressure at all. I still take medication, but I over time, after about a year, I felt like this feeling of just freeness of not having to worry about animals because I started watching some of those documentaries and they just would like kind of weigh on me a little bit, even when I did eat meat. And I just I physically felt better too. And like you, I didn't have the digestion or just sometimes you just feel so overwhelmed when you eat meat. And I've just stuck with it. And it just has become a way of life for me. And I really don't miss meat at all. I mean, for me, it's just kind of been a nice change, and it's just feels good to not have to worry about some of the other baggage that comes with it.
Well, that's really awesome. And I tell your audience that 90% of really successful entrepreneurs are vegan.
Ah, interesting. I didn't know that.
No, that's completely not true.
Oh.
But I was trying to convert some of your audience.
You sucked me right in on that one.
Thank you.
By the way, you're really good with hooks, by the way. In fact, did we cover, and I hope I'm not being redundant here. You did have one hook. It was a do not hook. You said you were going to tell us one thing that you do not do. Was it related to sleeping? Maybe it was sleeping. Okay. Yeah, sleeping.
It was the sleeping thing that I said at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't do that.
I don't. Okay, got it. So just in closing here, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything about, just mental toughness. The last thing really I want to talk about, is there anything we can do in terms of exercises or behavior or anything to improve our mental toughness?
That I was going to say that's a tough one, but I don't want to answer with the question. Yeah, and I think the most important thing about improving your mental toughness is, number one, looking at yourself in the mirror in the morning and asking how much you believe in what you're trying to do. Like, do I really believe in it? Am I just trying to do this because I think, I hate my 9-to-5 job and I'm trying to make extra money and I want to be independent? Or am I doing this because it's something that's kind of purpose driven and it feels good to me to be doing it? And if you can find a way that what you're trying to do feels good, feels like the right thing you should be doing, you're going to have way increased mental toughness at that point, because you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it for the people around you and your customers and your employees and your shareholders and maybe even the world that are going to benefit from what you're trying to do. That makes you mentally tough. Elon Musk, and another story about Elon, 2008, near the end of 2008, he had $90 million left from PayPal. Now, I would have retired on that. I think he had a couple $100 million to start with, but he had invested in both SpaceX and Tesla. He had $90 million left, and both of those companies were bleeding terribly. And it was 2008, the housing crisis. It was terrible time to be raising money. He had 90 million left, and he thought, all right, I'm going to put 45 million into one of these two companies. They both need about that. I got to figure out which one to do it. And he treated those companies like his kids. That's how passionate and purpose driven he was. This is what creates toughness. He looked at them and he said, these are my children. How am I going to pick between one and the other? So he gave each 45 million, all the money he had in the world. He ended up having to sleep on couches of his friends because he couldn't even afford rent for an apartment. Here's the richest man in the world that was sleeping on couches. And on December 24th at 6 p.m., he got a $40 million investment into Tesla. Tesla would have been bankrupt within about 5 or 6 days after that. And that's how close it got to him losing everything. And again, you never hearing of him. It was the 3 rockets and now this, where Tesla would have just gone bankrupt, right? So his unstoppable will is partially there because of his extraordinary belief in what he's trying to do. And so you're going to be mentally tough if you can find a belief system that says, I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this because I think I'm going to make my community better or even the world better. And so I'm going to stick with it even through the fires.
I love that story. I heard it a couple other times, but I love the way you tell it. And just you think about the mental toughness of that. You got $90 million and you decide to give up pretty much every penny you have to your name to 2 ventures, both arguably there's no guarantee either one's going to turn out, but you're betting on yourself. I mean, that is such a cool story.
He gave each of those companies less than 10% chance of winning.
Yeah. Yeah, so cool. Anyway, hey, as we wrap up here, you've got 2 websites, and I'll put this in the thinktyler.com show notes. Your main business, Ideapros.com. That's IDEAPROS.com, Ideapros. And then your personal webpage, fredcary.com. Cary doesn't have an E, it's Cary. So fredcary.com. Those are your 2 websites. If people wanted to reach out to you, are those the best places, or do you want them to go anywhere else?
Yeah, depending on what people want to do, I would strongly recommend anybody listening to go to ideapros.com. There's free membership there. It basically says become an insider. We don't try to sell you anything. You'll get 7 days of really solid insider tips along with a 20-minute video in each one of those days. And then after that, we have weekly newsletters. Twice a month, we do different workshops. I have one called Pitchcraft that I do all the time, teaching people how to really pitch to investors. It's been very successful. So start there. And then if you need more than that, you could actually just reach out to me at Fred@Ideapros. My executive assistant hates me for saying that because she has to monitor my emails. But if you've got something important you want to talk about, Fred@Ideapros. And then on Instagram, official Fred Cary, again, no E in Cary. As I said, I have about 500,000 followers there, and it's all about personal development, having a strong mindset, entrepreneurial tips and secrets, and you can get that for 1 minute a day, every day. So.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
I have about 500,000 followers there, and it's all about personal development, having a strong mindset, entrepreneurial tips and secrets, and you can get that for 1 minute a day, every day. So.
I almost debated of one of the topics to talk with you about today is how to build a gigantic audience on Instagram.
Yeah, well, one of the ways to do so is say things that are important that people resonate with. One of the things that I hate about Instagram and a lot of these quote unquote influencers, they all try to make you feel like their life's been incredible and they've never dropped a beat or tripped over anything. And, everything they've tried has been extraordinary, and send me $500 and I can make you extraordinary too. The reality is we've all failed and we've all had millions of mistakes, or not millions, but we've had many, many mistakes. And I love the fact that you asked me, what was some of the things that I went through. And I think if you can go out and say these things, and people can relate to you, and they can say, well, you know what? I can be like him. I'm like him now. I've made these 4 mistakes. What do I need to do to fix that? It makes you more genuine, and people listen.
Yeah, I like that. That's great stuff. Hey, Fred, thank you so much for your time, for being on. Really appreciate it. And I think you've added just a ton of wisdom here today. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it too.
Okay, take care.
That's all for this episode of Think Business with Tyler. But we have plenty more resources to help you in your pursuit of business excellence on our website at thinktyler.com. If you'd like to be featured in a future episode of the show, feel free to reach out to us on social media at think_Tyler. We look forward to helping you think life, think success, and think business.
Welcome to Sarah Talk Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, you've tuned into a bit of a different type of show. I'm Sarah B and I'm your host. You can find me on my IG, which is Aussie_Sarah_LA. I talk about amazing, relevant conversations and topics and what functions that goes on in this magical, wonderful, wonderful city of the City of Angels. My IG, which is Aussie_Sarah_LA.
Electric acid.
Welcome to Transforming 45, the podcast that celebrates the incredible power of passionate voices. I'm your host, Lisa Boat. Join me in conversation with heart-led humans who share their deeply personal stories of transformation. Transforming 45 is here to uplift, connect, and remind you that it's never too late to write your next chapter. So get ready to be inspired, empowered, and transformed. Join me in this community where through powerful storytelling, we heal and reclaim our inherent magic.
Electric acid. Electric acid.